This is Lou from All NJ Shrink Wrapping. I'm going to go over some basic pointers today just with shrink wrapping a pile. This is just fundamental stuff. First off, you're wrapping wicker, which here you'll see we're wrapping wicker. We're not going to put anything heavy on top of the wicker, especially this imitation wicker. What'll happen is it'll stretch, it'll pull. It might not look like it's stretching or pulling at first, but over the 6-month period or however long this wraps for, if there's weight on top of it, it's going to stretch, it's going to pull. Also, we want to make sure there's obviously nothing damp in the pile, because if it gets wrapped and it's damp, you're obviously going to get mold, you're going to get fungus. Another big issue is certain types of furniture. Certain types of furniture, the finishes on the furniture are just not, they're either they don't last, either they're not good. Over time, some of the finishes start to flake, start to bubble. When you're putting your plastic up and taping your plastic, see how we can tape the plastic directly to the wicker? This obviously was repainted, it's a table, and if you look closely, you're gonna see a lot of the paint chips which are starting to come up. Now, the tables look fine as is, but what happens is we'll wrap the furniture, we go to put the plastic up and tape it on the furniture. Everything looks fine, you wrap it up. Spring comes, customer goes to unwrap all their furniture. They pull the tape off the furniture, the paint comes off with the tape. Customer calls you, says, you ruined my table, you ruined my chairs, and then all of a sudden you have a big problem on your hands. So you're gonna have to watch and take a look at what kind of furniture you're putting tape on, whether it's polywood, whether it's taped, whether it's polywood, whether it's been freshly painted, the condition of the furniture and what you're taping onto and what you're holding the plastic up with. Really, again, just foundational, some foundational pointers. We're gonna get started, we're gonna wrap the furniture. We're all ready to wrap, the plastic's up, we have a top layer on, the pile is also pitched perfectly. We have an overhang here, so we're not gonna have to worry too much about this end because we're not gonna be getting a lot of snow, ice, rain on this side of the pile. This side of the pile there will be because there's no overhang, so we're gonna pitch the pile almost like a roof. We're gonna make sure that there's a slope and a pitch on the pile so that the rain slides off the pile nicely and it doesn't build up in the middle, causing a lot of weight, causing the plastic to rip or the pile to stretch. And then what happens is you may get water inside the pile, which will be a major problem when you open up the pile months later. So I'm gonna pause the video. When we start shrinking, I will unpause it and I'll show you a little bit about the tacking lines and how we tack before we start to shrink anything and how we seal the pile up. And I'll come back in a few minutes. Thank you. So what Ryan's doing right now is tacking the pile. So Ryan, what he's doing is he is basically heating the plastic, the top piece of plastic, so it adheres to the bottom piece of plastic. And you see his tack line, how there's no bubbles, how there's no air. The tack line is consistent all the way through. That's a good tack line, okay? Most importantly, before we start to shrink and before we start to turn on our heat gun, which is connected to our propane tank, we are going to take a blower or a broom and we're gonna get all the leaves at least 2 or 3 feet away from the pile. Dead leaves obviously are gonna go up very quick if an open flame hits them. We wanna make sure there's no leaves in the pile. We wanna make sure there's no leaves under the pile or around the pile. Again, Ryan is hitting his tack line now. I will come back in a couple of minutes when he is ready to start shrinking the pile. All right, back again here with All NJ Shrink Wrapping. Hello. Now Ryan is ready to start shrinking the pile. So again, we have everything tacked. We have all the leaves gone. The pile's pitched perfectly. There's nothing wet in the pile. Everything is ready to go. As he was tacking, Ryan had a little bit of a hole, which And this business, everybody thinks is a major issue. It's not. You're always going to get, no matter what, holes once in a while. You make sure you have your heat shrink special tape. It is a special type of tape that you'll get from the same supplier that you'll get your shrink wrap from. You put a piece of tape over it, heat it, and that's that. It is a little unsightly, but the tape does the job just perfectly. And Ryan's going to start shrinking now and show you how the plastic shrinks out. All right, so now that our pile is fully wrapped, we are going to tape off. We are going to tape off a few of the tack lines just to reinforce them. All right, which we've done already. If there's any sharp edges, we're going to cover some of the sharp edges just in case there's any pressure, just so we don't get any punctures. And we are going to put our vents in, which Ryan's doing right now. He's going to cut a hole for the vent. And, you know, I would say about every 4 to 6 feet on a pile, you want to have at least one vent on each side. So a pile like this, we should have 2 vents on one side and 2 vents on the other, maybe 3. You could obviously use your judgment. So that's how that vent, you make that hole, and then that vent will just stick right on there on the side of the pile. We don't have any kind of water getting in. It'll protect from any water getting, but it will let air flow throughout the pile, so we don't get any kind of mold or fungus or mildew or anything like that. I'll be putting another in right there for a little bit of a crosswind, and that's it. Today we're in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Well, not the nicest sites out there, but we work throughout the whole tri-state area, New York, New Jersey. We cover all 5 boroughs. We go down in New Jersey from Cape May all the way up to Upper Saddle River. Our number is 732-272-4286. All NJ and NYC shrink wrapping. All NJ, NYC shrink wrapping. 732-272-4286. Thank you.